Well, here's a bit of trivia for you coming out of last night's tsunami of Republican wins. There is a Democrat who won. He's on the other end of my line right now, Sheriff Mark Hackel, who will be the first, not the next, but the first Macomb County executive. And he didn't lose one precinct. I don't think anybody else can say that. I don't think esteemed Congresswoman Candace Miller or Sandy Levin can say that. It's just Mark Hackel. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Paul. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. You sound considerably more tired than you sounded last night when I called to congratulate you.
I appreciate that phone call as well, but no, I'm awake. It's just you lose your voice as you're talking to everybody.
I bet.
So
I bet.
I'm feeling really good, so I'm wide awake.
You are one of the headlines, this from the Detroit News, Charles Ramirez saying, Macomb County Sheriff Mark Hackel poised to make history as the county's first full-time elected executive, said last night that you're looking forward to working, quote, with the heavy hitters throughout the region. I guess you mean, of course, L. Brooks Patterson and Bob Ficano just to start off, and Mayor Dave Bing as well.
I've been very fortunate as a sheriff. I've had good support, whether it was from Mike Bouchard, Dan Lane at the time, Bob Ficano, Warren Evans, and the various chiefs of police throughout the Tri-County area. I had some great working relationships with them. Now being able to carry that over as county executive to some of these people that understand this and have been dealing with it for many years, they've already given me a great deal of support and encouragement. I've talked to Brooks Patterson several times and his staff, Bob Ficano, and then late last night I got a call from Mayor Bing. So I'm very encouraged by it. I realize, this is what we need to do to help deal with this as a regional issue, to try to figure out how do we work together. But, most importantly for me here in Macomb County, what do we need to do the right things and set the direction for Macomb County as a new form of government, being the first county executive. I'm very encouraged and excited by that kind of support.
Sheriff Mark Hackel, soon to be County Executive Mark Hackel, you've told me in our conversations last night and this morning that a lot of people came up to you and said the same thing over and over again. One of the things they said was you were the only Democrat they voted for.
It was interesting when I kept hearing that. I kept thinking, okay, what is it that makes people want to say that and to want to vote for you? And as you mentioned, we didn't lose one precinct in the entire county, whether it was the northern part of this county, which is strong Republican, which used to be Lake Township, is now the village of Grosse Pointe Shores here in Macomb County. They're strong Republican, but yet I still got the majority vote there too, which was very surprising. And to me, I think it just sends a message. I've been a very moderate, independent person that reaches across party lines. I don't care whether you're Democrat or Republican. It's one of those issues as to who's going to help solve problems, who wants to come to the table, put down the differences we may have with partisanism, and try to figure out how do we resolve the issues. I met with Rick Snyder a couple weeks ago, and for an hour and a half, him and I talked. I was very encouraged because I think he's sending the same kind of message. How do we help deal with the issues and put aside these other differences we may have, because this is what the voters, I think, expect out of their elected officials.
You both send out the same vibe and say the same thing in terms of working with everybody for the betterment of everybody.
And then maybe I'm politically naive, but I think it can happen, and I think that's exactly what the voters are sending as a message to those of us. The pendulum keeps swinging back and forth, and I think it's because that. I'm so tired of these negative ads that we see on TV, and it's a lot of times brought about by the party, or at least many of the candidates kind of hide behind those ads and say the party decided to do that on our behalf. Well, that's got to end. I mean, we're adults. We got elected to do something, and that's provide direction, provide leadership, and leadership through negative attitudes is not the right type of leadership. And I think that's exactly what the public's looking for. People that are willing to say, you know what, I'll accept criticism, but it's about doing the right thing, not the politically correct thing. Let's start doing the correct thing, and no longer are we allowed to fix blame. Our responsibility is to fix problems, and let's do it in a way that I think is going to be better for the entire, not just region here, but the entire state.
Well,
I'm encouraged by it.
Right, very quickly, and I only because I value your thoughts and opinions, Sheriff Mark Hackel, soon to be Macomb County Executive Mark Hackel, and that is that whole big thing that happened with Macomb County Prosecutor Eric Smith. We've had him on the show a number of times, seemed to be a good guy, seemed to be doing a nice job. The phone call he made to Jim Perna, you just referred to the bad campaign stuff that sometimes the party has or other people put out. Jim Perna said he had nothing to do with the mailer that referred to the Smith family is feeding at the trough. I mean, it was a negative thing, no matter how you look at it. Any insight on that?
I have never put out anything negative nor allowed anybody to do that on my behalf. As a candidate, you take full responsibility. You cannot shirk or hide from that, no matter who you are or at what level you're running for public office. I've been offered that opportunity back 10 years ago when I first ran for sheriff to put out negative pieces. I was adamant that that was not going to happen, and it's the direction that's set by the candidate that makes that decision.
Well, you're putting that back squarely on the shoulders of Jim Perna, then.
Well, again, I'm just going to say there isn't one candidate that can hide from that responsibility of taking control of anything that goes out on their behalf. And if it does, they've got to be the first one to step up and say, I did not allow that to happen, and I will take responsibility for it. And I did that with an election piece that went out on somebody I endorsed. I endorsed the candidate. They put out something negative against somebody else. I had a press conference that said, I will not allow that to happen, even though I wasn't running for that particular office. So the candidate's responsibility to control the election and that process that takes place.
I look forward to our final conversations as Sheriff Mark Hackel, and welcome the conversations as Macomb County Executive Mark Hackel. And the next conversation, we'll talk about who the next sheriff will be, because a lot of people want to know that as well.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark, and congratulations to you.